The Be a Man podcast brought to you by Anchor. I'm CJ and I'm here with my guy Corin. And this episode is going to be about the Black church.
Ooh, amen.
And this is going to be not really an event episode, but it's going to be an episode where we examine the Black church and their lack of accountability for a lot of the ills that involve most of, if not all of their congregations. So there's a lot of issues that I see in the Black community that surrounds these Black churches that maybe Black churches see and choose not to do anything about. But if they see it and don't do anything about it, the question would be, why don't they?
That's an easy question because it's hard to do anything about stuff that people don't want to hear. Earlier, you asked something about why we don't talk about what was the subject you were talking about?
Why don't we talk about a single motherhood in the Black church?
Okay, so that's the easiest question you've posed all day, and the reason why is because the main reason why men go to church in the first place is because why? Women get us to go to church.
Men go to church because there's normally women there, and women go to church because it's men there.
No,
men. Okay,
women go there for the word. We go there for the women.
You sure about that?
Yeah.
I know some sisters I've heard who say they go to church looking for men.
The right man.
Okay.
The right man. But they're more important to them is the word. And I can respect that. But men, we think with our nuts, and we are just there to see all the women are there. As bad as it sounds, that's why we're there. So anyway, if pastors were to actually talk about how harmful that situation is, do you realize that women would stop going? So when women stop going, guess what? Men stop going. So now your membership is decreasing because you thought it was okay to talk about a subject that really needs to be talked about, but nobody wants to hear. Women don't want to hear about how they're wrong or how they're making an issue for their own community. No.
And also too, man, the church in general, whether it's black, white, or whatever, the church in general is a business, and a lot of people don't want to admit that, but it's a business.
It is.
And the job on paper for the church is to use religion or faith as a healing method to the population, right? So if you actively went out in the community and actually did the work of God, eventually there would be no sick, or there would be no people who would necessarily need the word, right? Even though you always need the word, but the ideal of it is church is like a hospital almost, and it's supposed to heal and fix and support, and through faith and religion, it's supposed to better you.
So you think that once people feel like that they're healthy, that they don't need the church anymore? That's a good way to think about it, because that's probably true.
I can say this right here. I can tell you the emptiest time of the year for churches is tax season. The busiest time of church is the end of the year. The end of the year, everybody's broke. Tax season, everybody got money. So when people are winning, they don't really tend to be as motivated to go to church as they are when times aren't as good. And then, it's kind of like it's kind of the same thing when you see celebrities who hit rock bottom and now they go to church, or they become saved, or they become a pastor or something. But when they were up and winning, you never heard them talk about God or church. And it's not to say people can't be saved or like have a revelation or anything like that. But a lot of times, the church attendance is based on how the collective is doing. You do have some dedicated church members who will go to church rain, sleet, or snow. But a lot of times when things are going bad and you need an encouraging word or like a prayer, or you want to get your testimony out, you go to church. But a lot of times people don't go to church all the time because their scenario may change or they may not really feel like they need the word on certain weeks. You know what I mean? But it's a business. So maybe if you're looking at it like a business, like, all right, if we go and do the word of God and help people and heal people, maybe they won't come. That may not be the answer. That may be a crazy way to look at it. But it's just something I'm throwing out there to say, okay, well, why don't churches help? Because some of these churches are huge and they have rooms in them and they have offices to where you can provide a space for people battling addiction, people who are homeless, people who will spend their last dime getting to your church to pay tithes and offerings, but they go back home to an apartment or a home that doesn't have lights or don't have heat or air. A lot of them do that.
Well,
and the pastor pulls up and goes home in his BMW.
I'm okay with that, though.
You okay with that?
I'm okay. Well, I'm
Why are you
not,
okay?
Okay, let me be clear. I'm okay with the pastor going home in his BMW because there's a lot worse professions that people do, but go home in more expensive cars. They go home in private jets and planes. Why shouldn't he benefit from doing what he feels is right or preaching the word? Like, do you understand that people when people are sheep tend to follow where prosperity is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So if I don't see a point where the person I'm listening to is being prosperous or having a good life, why would I be following that person?
There's a lot of things.
That's the only reason why I say it's okay.
And you're right. But see, the reason why I don't like talking about religious issues is because there's always something in the Bible that you can take to use to your point. But then again, there's another 5 things that you may not know about that someone could use to distract from that point. Like when the Bible speaks about, Jesus tried to actually tell the rich people to give away all their worldly possessions and come follow him. He'll lead them to the way.
Mm-hmm.
So, give up all your worldly possessions and you don't need, a car that costs 6 figures and the nice jewelry and stuff. Everything in the world that you need, I've already supplied you with. So come follow me, and true prosperity and wealth isn't in monetary value. It's in everything else. Trees, water, all that good.
And that's probably what they viewed it as. Oh, that's bullshit. But anyways, yeah, go ahead.
But what I'm saying is, when I see these pastors, and I always think of I think his name is Creflo Dollar back in the day.
Creflo Dollar? Oh my goodness.
Who said he needed $60 million to spread the word of Jesus across the world.
Yeah.
So he needed $60 million for a private jet so he could go across the world and spread the word of Jesus.
He needed it.
Jesus spread the word of the gospel on camelback.
Jesus
was on a camel. Jesus was on a camel. So you mean to tell me your black ass needs $60 million to do something that Jesus did on a camel?
Jesus didn't go across the seas. I'm joking, man.
His homeboy Moses could walk on water, man. You know what I'm saying? So he ain't have to, But nah. I mean, it's just.
Did you say Moses could walk on water?
Jesus could walk on water.
Okay.
Moses could part the Red Sea and walk through it, but they're not walking on water,
Okay.
But this is my issue with the black church, though. Right? My issue with the black church is the black church never addresses issues that ill the black community. They never do. Okay, let me begin. One example is the broken home phenomenon. A lot of broken homes. A lot of single mother households to where the mother And it's always the single mom that have a bunch of boys too. And that's what I kind of fear. Like, the boys who are raised in that type of environment to where there will be male leadership in the church, but they don't.
Once again, I have to point out to you the fact that these are the women, these are the people that are going to the church.
That's the congregation, I know.
So when you say that to a woman in mid-sentence, she is going to walk out of your congregation.
Not necessarily. Women have this fixation about power. Men of the cloth with the collar can say certain things and they'll listen.
Hell no.
Regular guys
Hell
now.
No.
A brother at work or something at the job now, if he try to say something,
Maybe about 20 years ago, but that doesn't happen today.
But Pastor Jenkins could say something.
Pastor Jenkins can say that.
And he say, never mind. But go ahead.
The pastor of the days of today cannot say that. You want to know how I know that for a fact is because they're demonizing religion in general on media constantly. They couldn't wait to get a hold of Joel Osteen in that incident with the Hurricane Katrina, which I thought was hilarious.
How do you feel about that?
Laughing.
Do you think he should have opened up the door?
Oh, most definitely he should have. But I can see why he would have resistance. These people have been calling him a joke and a fraud and things of that nature for years. And now that there's an issue, you want him to raise up his hand to save all you people that were all trying to discredit him.
Aren't we supposed to forgive and turn the other cheek?
Yeah, but even
isn't that the way?
Yeah, the Lord? Yeah, but I hear you. But even I've heard of the story of Noah's Ark. What happened with that? When he tried to warn the people that the flood was coming and everything. It was coming.
Okay,
he got laughed out of town. Yeah, and he built his ark.
But everybody want to get on the ark when the flood comes.
Oh, okay. So fast forward to now, you're talking about the hurricane. Now he want to point out, I told you so. Now he looks like the bad guy.
Another issue I have with the black church is that it's an established hypocrite. Okay. Because
go ahead.
This is gonna piggyback off the homophobia episode we did earlier today, but there's a unwritten joke in the black church that a lot of the brothers in the black church are gay.
Okay.
There's 27,000 registered black churches in the United States. 26,995 have homosexual choir directors. So there's about 5 black churches that don't have a gay choir director.
Ridiculous.
Okay. So that's a fact. And some of the pastors, Eddie Long isn't the only Eddie Long in the United States, where they play with little boys and mess with men but get in front of the congregation.
That's true, but we knew that with the. I mean, we just had the whole situation with the Catholic Church being unveiled as doing all these mass sexual assault situations. This is what I want to tell you. Now, sexual assault charges, I'm not going to speak up for and against or whatever. But as far as being homosexual, this is what I'm going to tell you. Even in the church, I mean, it's the same thing as being a parent. Mm-hmm. You are a hypocrite. You have to be a hypocrite. And the reason why you have to be a hypocrite is because you want your people or your family to do better than what you've done. Okay. And if you don't, then you want your people to regress and go back in time. Right. And be worse off than what they already are. Right. So logically speaking, you can't ask somebody to say, "Oh, you need to do anything and everything that you preach and teach." It's your job to understand what's right and wrong, and to teach that. So, but not say that.
Do as I say, not as I do. Right.
That's what you hear, because you sound like one of these new age people. But the issue is that I understand what's wrong. I've done wrong too. I'm trying to get better, but I want to make sure that you're better than I am.
That's what pastors want. They want the
Absolutely.
congregations to be better than them.
Absolutely. I don't believe that these people are saints. You think every pastor is a saint? They got more dirt than anybody else.
I look at pastors like I look at women on the dating market. You're held to a higher standard. So, and that's an episode we gotta do too, which is a completely different subject. But I want to do an episode entitled "Women Cannot Do What Men Do." I can be a womanizer and a player. Women can't have side niggas. You just a whole fucking two niggas. That's all you are. Like you're not like there's no such thing as side men for women. You just a fucking object for multiple men. That's all you are. So let's kill that narrative. But back to this here, because I get tired of seeing that. Like women, ladies is pimps too. No, they not.
You don't like that line from Jay-Z?
No, Jay-Z, they're not pimps. Ladies are forever the hoe. Forever, you're the hoe. One man at a time, or you're the hoe. But that's okay. Just own the fact that you're a hoe. But you can't do what men do. Because your stuff is emotional based. Ours is just feeling based. I have an erection. I got a shorty who can take care of that. Go your way. I go my way. Anyway.
Yeah, back to the subject at hand.
Back to the subject at hand here.
But I still feel like being a pastor is like being a father.
I see what you're saying, though, because you are a leader. You are in that role to where you're the head, right? So the pastor is the head of the church.
Uh-huh.
So how a father would be the head of a household and a husband would be the head. So I do get that point from that example there. That's a good example.
Because if my son, if anybody's son would come home and be like, you didn't go to you didn't go to college, so why do I have to go to college? Mm-hmm. Motherfucker, because I said so.
Okay, all right.
Period.
Do you think that, you said that you don't think a lot of black churches address some of the ills that face our community because that would be pissing off the very people who are committing the acts. So you can't criticize the people who make up your congregation, right?
As time has went on, we have progressively gotten softer and softer and gotten more sensitive and sensitive. Right. So
I do agree with that.
So pastors have had to tread lightly around subjects.
You pretty much have to kiss people's ass to not piss them off.
Yes.
So even though they need to hear the truth.
Yes.
They need to hear
the only people that really want to hear the truth is the ones who seek out counseling from the pastors. The ones that
want to live a better life and they want better situation.
That's when you have the opportunity to be like, look, this is what I really got to say about all this.
But to the general congregation,
you can't
say
have
to tread lightly.
Yeah, and I hate that. I wish that they didn't have to, but that's how it is because we're so sensitive. We can't say that that's wrong. Well, you don't understand. It's different from when you were born. So homosexuality didn't exist. Oh, really? You don't understand. I grew up poor. You didn't have to deal with that. What?
Because
it's funny because our generation don't believe that anybody older than us has dealt with anything harsh in their life. Yeah. And I find that that's utterly ridiculous, and they try to void out their reasoning and their logic because of that.
The generation that literally had to go into the back of a building because the front door wasn't for them.
Yeah.
They haven't been through anything.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
You're right, though. You're right.
And we shit on them constantly. The second they say something that hurts our feelings, we shit on them.
Yeah. It really pisses me off on a personal level, though, man, because if the black church is supposed to be the hospital for the black community, I always like to look at the origin of each problem. So anytime I'm faced with an issue or a roadblock or a problem, I try to get to the origin of it. Like, what created this problem? And I don't know the statistics or the numbers, but I can tell you a large majority of the problems in the black community all trace back to single parent households because it's hard within a 2-parent household. And I got homeboys who are married and they got good relationships with their wives and they got kids, and they talk about how hard it is to raise kids together. You know what I mean? Like they both work or they take turns babysitting and all of that stuff. And I got friends who co-parent, but still co-parenting or together, it's still the kids got 2 parents, and that's a blessing. Whether you live in Texas or she live in Oklahoma, and y'all figure it out to work on the same page, or y'all both live together, those kids got 2 parents. When a child got 1 parent and that's it, they don't know who mama is. Mama ran off and put them up for adoption because she had a drug issue or she was chasing him behind a man, or the dude did something to where he messed up and like he went to prison or like he's dead or something. When you got 1 parent, man, it's not impossible. It's doable, but that 1 parent got to wear multiple hats, and the average person ain't designed to take on adversity like that. That's only a rare. It's a small amount of people who are even blessed to be bestowed to handle that much pressure on themselves and not fold under the pressure. And a lot of it comes from single parenting. And the black church, man, is the pinnacle of the black community. Like, people listen to the pastor. It's a book, man. I forgot the name of it, but it's not all. But some black women listen to the pastor more than they listen to their own husband.
Oh yeah, I
you know what I'm
that,
saying?
yeah.
So like, if the pastor were to say something, and you write about the sensitive generation and stuff, like sometimes, like I just feel like if the pastor were to reiterate certain things, maybe they would listen to it more. You know what I mean? The same way how growing up, I listened to Jay-Z more than I listened to my mom. I did. Like Nas, DMX, nigga. It is dark and hell is hot. Like, bro, you know how many whoopings I got behind listening to that album, bro?
Oh, you was a whole New England.
Bruh, she said, that man covered in blood on his album cover. That's demonic. You gonna go to hell. She whoop my ass for that. But I'm like, yo, but this intro hard enough. But what I'm saying is, you have to always, when you have a voice and you are on a platform where people will listen, you have a greater responsibility. You have a responsibility, I think, to tell the truth, even if it's to the detriment of losing your congregation. I don't think you'll lose everybody. I think the only way you're going to open up minds and change people and actually help them, it's great to spit a scripture that you could apply to whatever you're trying to get across for that week. But you got to address real life issues, man. It's cool to talk about it's wrong to cheat on your wife. It's cool to talk about it's wrong to want somebody else's husband. But it's also cool to talk about, sis, maybe you shouldn't be having a child every year if you can't pay rent, if you can't pay your bills, if you can't take care of you. Why are you having all these kids? Some of these girls 22 with 5 kids, bro. And they don't have a high school diploma. They don't have a 9-to-5 job. They don't have the skills to hold down a job because they're overly emotional and they're just not rational and thinking. So you can't provide a source of income, but you're creating additional children that the state is going to have to take care of. Like, so people who do work and who are responsible, who get up and go to work every day, are the ones who are enabling you to have 5 or 6 buggies at the grocery store. That's the truth. When people who pay money for food, can get what they can get, but you may be lucky to halfway fill a buggy up depending on your salary. But the church needs to talk about those things. The church even needs to talk about ain't shit niggas, because there's some ain't shit niggas out here. But the ain't shit niggas, I assure you, all originated from a single parent home, man. They had a bitter mother who punished or disciplined them every time they did a masculine or a man act. So they were reduced to being a man who was filled with feminine energy. So they grow up and they have a disdain against women. to where they get with women, they beat on women, they abuse women because their mother pretty much cut their nuts off at an early age and babied them their whole lives, never made them work for shit, never taught him about being a man is getting up and making something out of nothing. Being a leader, they was never taught that. So they get a lot of bitch in them. So they grow up and they do bitch nigga shit. And you have a generation of grown boys and they're not men. Now you got women complaining about the ain't shit men, but the ain't shit men all originated from a single mother. All of them. When you look at dudes who were raised by their father or a strong woman who was logical in thinking and could really think and act with not too much emotion involved, or they may have had a male role model like a coach, a pastor, even a teacher, somebody who was a real man who could set an example for them. Just in how they move and act, it's not like how most of these dudes act. They don't, get into these altercations and put their families in bad situations. Even if it didn't work out with the mother of the child, they still man enough to take care of their kids and still be a father. You the prime example of that. You still take care of your responsibility and you're a father regardless, whether you with her or not. And there's a lot of men in this country, man, who do what they're supposed to do and then some. And they'll never get the credit for it. The other partner, the woman will never like pat them on the back and say, "Hey, I appreciate you for being a real man." They'll never give you the satisfaction of "Hey, you a hell of a father. We didn't necessarily work out at this time, but my kid, they ain't got shit to worry about because you a man." Pastors will never talk about that though. If a pastor says something like that at least once a year, boy, you will save a lot of households, man. And you will change the way a lot of these women think. Because a lot of these women have been brainwashed to hate men, bro. Women raised by single mothers are just as dangerous as boys raised by single mothers. Because now you got a bitter woman who probably ran a man off. So now you just spewing all this hatred and negativity toward that young girl about a man that you're probably responsible for him not being there. So now she grows up with this mindset about how men ain't shit and I can do everything on my own, but she couldn't do nothing on her own. She lived off the government. So she never taught you to create for yourself as a woman and be independent. Her ideal of being independent is living off the government and being toxic to any man she comes across. And you have a generation of women who are raised by women who thought like that. And then you got boys who think like that because they raised by the bitter woman who never takes accountability and say, "Hey, I'm not perfect. Your dad isn't perfect, but your dad is still a good man. He's a good person. He just wasn't good for me in a relationship sense, but we're gonna do what we gotta do for this family." Like just logic shit. Like it don't always work out. If me and my girlfriend don't work out, I like to think that we're still cordial enough to be able to say, "All right, little CJ still needs to have a mother and a father." So if I go my way and she go her way, and we talked about this before. Hopefully it never happens, but if it do, we're still responsible enough that I think right now anyway to where he would still have a healthy childhood, and that's all you want as a parent. You just want your child to have a healthy childhood. Don't put that toxic, that negative shit in like a child's head because when they become young adults and they grow up, the result of that is tragic, boy. It's terrible. Like to see a girl 18 years old on Facebook saying niggas ain't shit. I'm like, you haven't lived long enough to know that.
What do you mean? You mean little boys that you're with? What are you talking about?
Like,
you're a little girl.
You haven't lived long enough to even come to that conclusion. Like these dudes on social media, man, and they flashing money and drugs. I'm like, dude, you're just laying yourself out on a platter for the FBI, bro. Like, why do that? I'm not knocking like how you eat or how you take care of your family. Handle your business, but be smart about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, just petting the boys up on game like that. Everybody ain't gonna go to the military. Everybody ain't gonna go to college. Everybody can't hold down a 9 to 5 fresh out of school. Everybody's not gonna be an entrepreneur. everybody ain't gonna have the discipline to be a professional and work a job and get a salary and get, you know what I'm saying, a nice, sustainable life. But if you just got someone who can talk to people from the position of a pastor, who's a big figure. The pastors are big, man. Like in Dallas, for example, TD Jakes is like a mayor, man.
Yeah.
He's a mayor out there almost. I mean, like,
have you seen how he been dressing lately?
Yeah, I have. And I wasn't trying to go off on like a tangent, man, but I mean, like, if they spoke out against it, and you're absolutely right. I mean, it's a business. If they speak out about it, maybe they won't come, or you will offend your congregation. But I think you have to speak on that stuff, man, just to uplift and encourage people to be better. Don't just uplift them and encourage them off rhetoric from the Bible. Even though the Bible is a great book on morality and how we should live life, but you got to talk about more than infidelity and more than just the typical things they talk about. More than if you pray, you're going to get $1 million on your doorstep. No, don't teach false prosperity. Don't do that. Teach them like tangible things that you know is really fucking up our community. If you're in a bad space financially, maybe instead of going to get high, maybe you should engage in a job training program so you can pick up a skill so you can take care of yourself. Trade school. Like, there's ways to better your positioning to where you're not in the same spot.
Do you think that churches should be more involved into giving their congregation more job skills?
You doggone right. You absolutely right. Churches from Monday to Saturday should be a temp service.
Ooh.
It should be.
Ooh.
It should be. Sunday, you preach the word, you get the gospel out there, you say what you got to say to them. But Monday through Saturday, man, them doors need to be open. You need to have people in and out. You need to have resources from the community coming in to help the people. And it shouldn't be no one coming to church on Sunday praying for an opportunity to get a job. We have a yard out here at the church. You know how to work a lawnmower? You know how to do hedges? We have an electrical problem in this church. Instead of paying the contractor, how about you find someone in your congregation who knows how to do wiring?
But what about people who don't have those skills?
If they don't have those skills, you provide the training for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
How do you do that?
Yes. Because you got to first get somebody that knows how to do that and knows how to teach.
Churches are all nonprofit organizations.
Yeah.
And nonprofit organizations are always a hotbed for donations. So the donations can come in like a plethora of ways. You could write a check. You could send money to it. You could also volunteer. So what a lot of nonprofits do is they get companies and agencies in the communities they form partnerships with, and they'll send someone out to teach a class or to speak, and they exchange the time. It's called in-kind, but it's like a financial thing where, like, if you donate time to my nonprofit, you write that off on your taxes as money. Hours equate to a certain amount of dollars. So if I have a church, say I got like a group of young black boys over here, and they like to work on cars and shit. Well, I know a guy who owns a auto shop. He comes here on Wednesday. So after school on Wednesdays for an hour, we can set up an auto shop in the parking lot. We get some cars, we get some techs out here, some mechanics, and they teach these boys how to change oil, how to change a tire, how to look at an engine, how to replace a starter. Like, teach them skills, real life skills.
Yeah, because some of that stuff you can't do without necessarily having a shop. Like changing a water pump. You don't need a shop to change somebody's water pump. And some people know technically, like, that's the only thing wrong with the car.
Yeah.
If you know that offhand, you know somebody that can do it for you, and you don't want to go to a shop, you be like, hey, one of the kids in the shop know how to do this. If you pay them to do it, they'll do it for you. Teach them, and they got trained by somebody who's skillful, who does the job on a daily basis. Or you can hire that person that you just taught how to do that to your shop.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see how that can work.
So there's a lot of things to do, man. Like, you can have boys' days and girls' days to where, like, you get the local health department to send someone over to talk to the girls about protecting themselves and safe sex practices. No one's telling you not to have sex. I'm not like the holier than thou to say you should wait till marriage. No. If you're gonna have sex, sis, have sex, but protect yourself. You know what I'm saying? Learn about condoms and, you know, safeguards and stuff so you don't put yourself in a position to be 14 with a baby on the way because you're not ready. And I don't have a problem saying that. Some people have issues in criticizing young parents, but I don't think that's a smart thing to do if you're 15, 16 years old having a child.
It's not.
If it happens, but if it do happens, you need to be prepared to take on that responsibility. I don't think your parents should raise your kids for you because your parents didn't fucking get it. So you need to grow the fuck up really quick and figure out how to be the best parent you can be for that child and then some. But I think if the church did stuff like that, instead of just pander to gay men and lonely women, which what the black church does really great, and bamboozle people out of money. And let me tell you something else too, man.
All right, where you going, man?
Because this water is kind of like Hennessy to me right now. And I'm going to say what I really want to say about the black church now, after I take this sip. The black church is really good. Yeah, I know it's all churches, but I'm black, and this is the Be a Man podcast. I'm going to talk about the black church. I can't tell you about the Catholic church or the white church or the Hispanic church. I'm talking about the black church because that's what I know. I only speak about my area of experience. The black church is really good at asking for money, but it's really bad at showing you how to make money.
Because we don't know how to make money.
Well, I don't know how to ask for money, but the black church sure as hell know how to ask for money.
Oh my God.
They make a lot of money from asking for money. So how hard would it be to have trade classes to where you show your congregation that you're able to buy your 8-bedroom house off of if you taught them ways to make money?
That's
in
a fair assessment.
In doing that, you will increase your revenue and the church revenue as well. If you're making all your money from people to make $20,000 a year, you may do all right. You teach them tangible ways to invest, to save, to repair their credit. Now they can gross more and they can give more.
See, that's a different class that you're talking about, but they can have that as well. And I think some places do that.
Some do, but not enough of them, man. And then it shouldn't be based on class. If you got a bunch of broke people or uneducated people, you just educate them. You teach them. You try to bridge that gap between those who don't know and those who do know. And the black church takes from the community more than it gives. And that's across the board. You can name a few churches that really give, but I mean, I've been to some mega churches to where like your positioning on where you can sit is based on how much you're gonna give for that day. So like they have like to sit on the front row close to the pastor. I know like I went to the Powerhouse in Dallas one time and it's almost like a Cowboys game.
You snitching.
It's a Cowboys game, like when you go in there. You want to sit up close to the pulpit, your donor fee for that day has to be like $2,500 to $3,000. And to sit in the middle, it goes slightly lower. But to sit up even in the pulpit, you got to pay $50. The way you dress is according to where you can sit too. You go in jeans, you can't sit on the floor. You got to go upstairs, regardless of how much you're gonna pay. So it's a business. There's an ATM on this floor, there's an ATM upstairs, and I'm not knocking that particular church, but what I'm saying is you have no problem asking. So there should be no problem in giving. Because if you are really practicing the word of God, what God did more than anything is he gave.
Yeah. I ain't going to argue with that.
So before I piss off any more church going folk with this episode.
You pissed every single one of them off. I can tell you that right now.
So, you have anything else to add on?
There's nothing I can say to rebuttal to that, other than the fact that I do agree with you that there should be, if the church is going to ask for so much money, and the very least that they could do is give back to their community. One of the best ways that they could give back and make it prosper is to give them trades, and give them ways to make money and actually earn a living. Because a lot of people that go to church, that's what they're asking for. So, I mean,
And then, too, let me give a pre-rebuttal to the rebuttal I'm going to give from people who listen to this episode. They're going to say, well, my church does it. Well, that's cute that your church does it, and that's good. But let me tell you, not enough churches do it. And if enough black churches did do it, black America wouldn't be in the fucked up situation we're in right now. We wouldn't be the minority. We wouldn't be the laughing stock at the country club. So, with that said, thank you guys for listening and supporting the podcast the way you do. Me and Corin really appreciate it. If you have any comments or rebuttals, please feel free to leave them. They're greatly appreciated. Shout out to Anchor for the great platform. I'm CJ.
I'm Corin.
And we're out. Peace.